ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Starcastic Remarks. The Dallas Stars defeat the Boston Bruins with the final score of 5-2, and the power play is alive. It's back. Thank goodness.
Yeah, 3 power play goals on the night and a 5-2 win is spectacular when you're talking we didn't score one for like 21 straight or something like that, which ironically the Stars kind of did last year. It just wasn't all in a row like that. The goal was in the middle of like 23 or something like that. So kind of a weird way to replicate last season the exact same way, but I mean, Edmonton's trying to do the same type of thing, so Stars might as well do the exact same thing as well.
Yeah, there you go. We'll take it. And it ended in a good place last year, so hopefully we can use this and get on fire just like we did last year. If you remember, once the power play did get going, it was hot for a long time. So we'll hope that can get going. And let's just keep talking about the power play before we even get into anything else. It was moving the puck, and it was doing what we saw a ton of last year, and that was the triangle pass from the wing down below the net and back up to the bumper guy in the slot, and those guys were putting it home over and over again. And I don't know why we were incapable of making that happen all season up until this point, but it was fantastic tonight. I mean, that's exactly the kind of passing you need. And when people had the puck with no open slots, people were moving. People were actually moving behind the net whenever they didn't have the puck. There was a lot more movement on the power play tonight, which was fantastic. And then just the execution on the shots was great. I think most of the players on the Stars are really good at those plays in tight in the slot. You think Jamie Benn, Jason Robertson, even Stankoven, I would say, is really good in tight around the net in that slot area. And they were all fantastic tonight.
Yeah, and like you said, the movement from other players was how the first goal happened. I mean, yep. They get it down deep, and Robertson creeps into the slot area and doesn't get picked up at all. And it's essentially automatic for him from that spot. I mean, when he gets it there with no one on him and no one to contest him either, I mean, there's no one within a stick length of him. So he just has free shot.
And at the same time that Robertson's creeping into the slot, Ben was creeping behind the icing line when Haskin was creeping along the inboards. It's a lot more movement than we saw up until that point. And it was similar, not the same. A couple, I think the last one, especially, or the Stankoven one, was on the rush more so. But just that movement to get the puck into the slot was the big key on all 3 of those power play goals. It was great to see them bounce back and to all happen within 10 minutes in the second period. And they were all legitimate power play goals, unlike that Duchesne one earlier. So very happy to see that back into form. And we even also saw a couple deflections on some of the power plays we didn't score on. We saw some deflections that looked really scary, which that's another huge part of the Dallas Stars power play we haven't seen yet. So if that can get going as well, I mean, this power play is going to get rolling.
The deflections and puck retrievals was another big thing. I mean, that's the thing that's made the Stars penalty kill so good, is getting the puck first on the penalty kill and clearing it. And that's you need to do more of that on the power play as well. When you're so good at that, it gives you multiple chances over and over and over again, and it keeps defenders trapped.
Yeah, a big thing that Pete DeBoer talked about, I think it was the other day during practice, it was like you can't have one and done on the power play, and the Stars did a lot better of getting shots on goal and either going after the puck when it was around the crease or regathering the puck, like you were saying, when it is saved and then goes to the boards. So that was really great. We also saw the original kind of lineups for the power play reunited, and I think that makes a lot of sense. It made sense to move them the other day just to try to get something going, but both units have so much chemistry together. I feel like it made a lot of sense, and they both looked really good tonight. Both units scored.
Yeah, it looked solid. I think that's more of a get your acts back together kind of from last game, and yeah. It looked terrible. I mean, you could tell people were just they were not connected at all, and they put them back together, and on the first shift they're back together. They pull off a beauty. I mean, it was perfect tic-tac-toe. So,
yep. So all 3 of those Stars power play goals within the first 10 minutes of the second period. And that was really the story of that second period. A lot of Bruins power penalties and a lot of Stars goals. Back in that first period, I thought it was a really good start from the Stars, just as far as intensity goes. That was kind of the key word for everybody tonight. The key word for DeBoer in the pregame was we need to show some intensity, especially against a strong opponent like Boston. I thought the Stars did a really good job of that. And had a couple of really good chances. And like earlier in the season, a couple breakaways even that just nobody could find the back of the net on them for some reason.
Yeah, and I think what really broke up most of their pressure in the first period was the penalties halfway through it. I mean, that kind of that took away their intensity for sure. And the Stars have just looked so good 5-on-5 for most of the year so far that any type of special teams is just kind of like
Yeah, true. And about midway through that first period, well, I thought the Stars were still playing better. Pasta scores on a shot in the slot after a questionable play from everyone's favorite Dallas Star, Matt Dumba. Sean here says, "Except Dumba, don't ever do that again." Yeah, I think everyone agrees with that. I think Dumba would even agree with that too. That was an atrocious pass. It was terrible.
Yeah, it brain dead. I mean, like he sees the dude slightly curling to the right and makes the play anyway, and it's just lazy is what it is. And there's nothing anyone can do at that point except watch and hope DeSmith makes an amazing save.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought he was fine otherwise tonight, but man, that kind of highlights what Dumba's the worst at, and that's anytime he has the puck. If Dumba has the puck,
why is he out there on a 4-on-4 in general? That's
I would
weird.
agree with that.
I don't understand. Maybe it's just because Miro had the shift before, and they don't want to put Miro Harley on. But like, it's 4-on-4. Just put Miro Harley on him. It'll be fine. I promise.
That's a great question. That is a great question. That goal kind of sparked a little something for the Bruins the rest of the period. I thought they started kind of catching up to the Stars a little bit in the intensity department. The Stars kind of piled it on them in the beginning there. But Matt Duchene and that Sagan Duchene Marchment line came in clutch again late in that first period. Some clean passing, and then, man, some beautiful patience by Matt Duchene to get Swayman out of his net and dangle through everybody and risk that one home. Great shot by Duchene. Great play.
That's one of those goals that, like, you're looking towards your best players. And if you look at all the goal scorers tonight, it's the top two lines, first, second line. They lit up the Boston Bruins, and that's how they did it. So you're looking towards those players who should be your best to put you in good positions to win. And they definitely did that tonight.
Yeah, and Duchene especially, he scores that goal, which was huge to keep it tied going into that first intermission, I think, just as far as momentum goes, because the Stars, they played a decent period. Some miscues, especially the Ben Doublemire. You don't want to see that. But overall, it wasn't a period where you want to go. It wasn't a period where it felt like we should have been down 1-0. So I thought it was a big goal for the Stars.
Yeah, the Ben Doublemire is kind of stupid too.
I thought it was
still it was a weak slash to begin with. By the way, the stick doesn't break if you're holding your stick light enough to just drop like that. I don't understand why that's a penalty. And Ben doesn't like stop. He doesn't halt play in any way. He's just skating to the penalty box and he's mad. So he's talking and he's yapping. Yes, he's yapping. These refs deal with yapping all the time. Why do you do that when the Stars had an advantage to begin with? I mean, I feel like you kind of expect that from a player who is just on a power play, who you think they think it was a weak call. You're going to expect them to get pretty upset about it. And yeah, it's weird.
I've only ever seen someone get doubled up if like they peel back around and it's not a direct line to the penalty box and they take a lap around the ref or something. And that didn't even happen. So I agree. I thought
it's stupid.
I thought it was pretty weak by the ref. Then that second period, like we talked about, right off the get-go, they draw that penalty. Robo gets that power play goal early. Stars pilot on in that first period. We've already mentioned that enough. That was fantastic. We love all those power play goals. And the Stars finally get scored on the PK for the first time in a while. I think it's their second power play goal that they've given up.
Yep.
And yeah, that one was just tough. A lot of guys behind the icing line. A good move by Frederic to get out in front, made a real strong move. And yeah, it's good rebound.
It's a couple of things that just end up going the Bruins' ways. They win the 3v3 puck battle on the edge, and then Harley follows the man behind the net instead of in front of the net, which isn't like a wrong decision, but it in this case, it gave them enough room. And then no one follows the man back to the front of the net. So the second dude to the front of the net gets there before any of the Stars, and that's just kind of how it it ends up going. I mean, when you get outnumbered like that, it happens sometimes.
Yeah. And the rest of that second period, the Stars had tons of intensity, and so did the Bruins. They really matched it this period. I think this is some of the best hockey like altogether we've seen this season between the Stars and the Bruins. In that second period, both teams were going at it real physical. The Bruins were trying to punish the Stars. You could feel the weight that team has tonight. They were throwing the body around, but the Stars handled it well, kept making good plays, and I thought did a great job the rest of that second period. Had a couple other chances to score.
Yeah, the Bruins have like 11 players who are 6'3" or above, which is stupid crazy. And it's the biggest team in the league, like size-wise. And of course, this is the game that Logan Stankoven breaks through and gets a goal, like against this team of all the teams he could have done. And there were a couple times that Stankoven got bullied. I mean, they just kind of had to shove him a little bit. He fell over, but he proves that the size truly doesn't matter as much as it used to, and he gets a goal in the game.
Yeah, Dodonov did too. He got rocked a couple of times as well, but he always made good plays when he got hit too, though. So we'll take that as long as he's not getting injured. We should double back on that Stankoven thing because he has been snake bitten forever, and he finally gets one to go after a great pass by Duchesne. And I mean, it's Stankoven in the slot. He finally gets one to go and doesn't get robbed.
Yeah, Stankoven he's played so good. He's looked really good on the top line too, which is kind of weird that he ends up being the person that goes up there instead of Johnston. But it works just the same as if you had Johnston up there, and you don't have to take Johnston away from center. There's just so many pluses to having him up there, and he's done a great job while playing. I mean, he should have like 3 more goals probably, which is crazy to think about. But he's done a great job, and it's a strong start from him.
He's got 8 points in the first 8 games of the season, and he's leading the Calder, I think, by 3 or 4 points right now. So that's fantastic. And we talked about that earlier in the season between who was going to be on the top line, and we knew it was going to be either Stank or Wyatt. And it didn't really matter. I think at this point, since Bork was injured at the beginning of the season, is having a little bit of a slower start. It definitely, like you were saying, makes a lot more sense to have Johnny down there. Make sure you got that center depth all the way through. You don't have to worry about trying to have Dodonov or Ben play in that wing spot. It's easy. Those guys are comfortable playing that role that they played for the majority of last season. I think it just makes a lot of sense, especially when Stankoven's playing as good as he is on the top line, like you mentioned.
Yeah. It's gonna, if he's able to keep playing well, he's gonna get a really good shot at the Calder.
Absolutely, 100% agree. I don't see any reason for him to slow down what he's doing right now. It's fantastic.
If he plays the whole season on the top line, I think he'll win it for sure.
I would expect it. I would agree with that. If he's on the top line all season, which I don't know if that will happen, because I think Johnston, once he heats up a little bit, he's going to be itching to get on there, and I think DeVore's going to be itching to put him on there, just considering his size and speed. But we'll have to see how that plays out. Third period, I thought it was obvious the Stars were playing back this period. They were playing to hang on to that lead. They did it okay. I feel like there was a couple too many times that the Bruins had chances in tight and made DeSmith look great, and he did, thankfully. But I don't know. Not too bad, not too great, decent. DeSmith was fantastic, though, as he has been all year.
DeSmith, after the second goal that the Bruins got, was amazing. I mean, he was making crazy save after crazy save, and the Stars were doing a good job of boxing out around the net, too. I mean, there was the one point in the 6-on-5 at the end of the game where the puck is rattling around in front, but the Stars, every single one of them has one of the Bruins stick up in the air, and they're all on the right side of the puck. So, I mean, it was from that standpoint, there were a bunch of good individual defensive plays that just kind of kept the Bruins out of it for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and I think puck control is kind of the delineator between a good goalie and a great goalie in the NHL, where most of your backups are probably going to have more of an issue with puck control and hanging on to rebounds and stuff like that, whereas Otter might not. So I thought it was great from the Stars to focus on that, like you were saying, James, and clearing people out from around the net, clearing out rebounds, even if it's just to their own corner and just getting it out from in front. I thought the Stars did a good job of that. few too many chances, but I'm sure that'll get cleaned up. But overall, good third period on the road when you had a pretty decent lead.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice to see DeSmith get a game like this one. I mean, this is a tough game to play. This is one where you'd be like, you want Otter to be in this position. It's a huge Boston Bruins team. The Stars have struggled in front of the net, especially in that Buffalo game. I mean, and Edmonton game, honestly. The past 3 or 4 games have all of the teams have just gotten in front of the goaltender and just tried to muck it up a bit. And I mean, the Smith played good enough, and the Stars played very well in front of him, and especially in front of the net, especially against a team who is massive. I mean, I can't give enough props to how well the Stars played in front of their own net tonight.
Yep. And the Stars goalies in general have been fantastic so far this year. The goalies have not allowed more than 3 goals in a game. There was 4 last night, but that was due to the empty net. So, I mean, if they're holding them 3 goals, we should at least go to overtime every single game, if you're thinking about it that way. So, fantastic job by those guys.
In both the games we lost.
And we almost did in both the games we lost. And that, honestly, both those games, I give a ton of credit to the goalies for keeping those games close, because there were stretches in both of those losses where it could have really blown up. So
for sure.
While the Stars, I think the Stars had a good start. It's okay to good probably, but the goalies have been fantastic. They have been elite, and that's why we're in the position where we are, where we're only 2 losses with 8 games into the season. Great start. We've got the home game against Chicago on Saturday, and that's really a trap game. That's the game before we go to Finland. We'll have about a week-long break, and then we'll have 2 games in a row against Florida in Tampere, Finland. And that's definitely a trap game. The Stars have got to pay attention to that one, and that might be some of the reason why they played DeSmith tonight instead of against Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, I'm gonna make the trap game even more of a trap game. The trip to Finland should be really fun. I'm kind of really excited for that. It's we have a bunch of Finnish players. Our best defenseman should have a blast over there too. I mean, that should be something really special.
Yeah, it's gonna stink to not have some Stars hockey for 5 days, but I agree. It's going to be super awesome to watch both those back-to-back games with all those Finnish players on both teams. The Panthers have a ton of Finnish players, and it's also just 2 good games against 2 of the best teams in the NHL, the defending Cup champion Florida Panthers and one of the top contenders Dallas Stars. So that's going to be a ton of fun, and it'll be great for international hockey just to be able to see that caliber of teams playing against each other. There's been some jokes, especially in the NFL, about some teams playing in London that were awful. I think it was like, I can't even remember. I think it was like Jets Saints or something, but it was 2 terrible teams, and everyone was complaining about us throwing our garbage over into Great Britain. But the NHL is definitely not. They're sending their best, so that'll be a ton of fun. Let's wrap it up here tonight, James. Who you got for your biggest winner?
Biggest winner is the power play in general. I mean, I guess I'll give it to Steve Spott because he finally gets away from being on the spotlight, you know. And to be fair, I mean that's kind of how it works. And I don't know what they did to change the power play at all. It doesn't seem like they did anything because it's the same thing that happened last year. But they figured it out. If it continues the same way last year, there's nothing to complain about.
Yeah. Well, I think they did change. I think they got the movement figured out finally. But yeah, I think it was due criticism, though, too, to Steve Spott. I mean, we shouldn't be bashful about our complaints against him. They were deserved. That power play has been awful. It's a good start here. It needs to keep going. Mm-hmm. But if he does keep it going, then he'll deserve praise as well. So we'll be ready to praise him whenever we see the Stars do this 3 games in a row. And we have multiple power play goals each game. I'll be up to the plate to praise them just like you were.
Yeah. Really, the important thing on that is being able to change things when something isn't working. As long as it did. Beginning of the season, that's a little understandable. Okay, whatever. If it happens later in the season, it's got to change.
It can't take that long again. Yeah, for sure. My biggest winner, I'm going to give to Matt Duchene. He takes the lead on the Stars team on points. 3 points tonight, 1 goal, 2 assists. Fantastic play on that Stankoven goal. Absolutely love that one. He's been great so far, just like last season. Starting it hot. Hope he can keep it going. And man, that line with him and Marchment, we've talked about it. We don't know what it is about them playing together, but their chemistry, it just meshes so well. I don't know.
It always works.
It doesn't make sense, and they don't work with anybody else. But as long as we keep them together, and as long as they're all healthy, they're one of the best lines in the league. It's crazy. Biggest loser, James.
I'm giving my biggest loser to Matt Dumba for the turnover. That's pretty terrible. He's the only star on the night, that ends up negative. So that's still kind of a big deal when you're talking about 3 or 4 out of the 7 goals that were scored tonight were power play goals. So those didn't even count towards plus minus. But you can't do that. It was just stupid. It was a dumb play. That score sheet person gave him like 5 giveaways on Matt Dumba, which is ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Don't do that.
Yeah, he did not have his best game, and I could definitely see this game as being the start of the hate train for Stars fandom. So hopefully he has a better next one, because I think he needs to pick me up to stay off of that.
It's really weird because I think part of the reason why he gets hurt in the first place was because he's trying to make a big play in front of the home team or the home fans, and he's a new player. He wants to do that. I mean, I can see that. And it's gone downhill pretty quickly.
It's also just a tough position too. I mean, he's by far our 4th best defenseman. I mean, I don't think that's really a question. He's playing on our top line with our best defenseman. It's a weird position, I feel like, but it's also one that he feels that he kind of deserves too. So I'm going to hold him to the standard of a top pair right defenseman. And tonight, he didn't live up to it tonight. That's for sure. My biggest loser, I'm going to give to Brad Marchand, because what are you doing on that cross check on Lyubushkin? I didn't get that at all. That was rat behavior, living up to it, and then he argued about it too, which is what I was really confused about. Like, I'm sure Lyubushkin, I mean, everyone saw the cross check. They had a pretty good replay of it on Victory Plus tonight, but he racked and then drugged the stick down. Lyubushkin's got a bruise. He's bruised on his back. It's probably massive. So I don't know what he was doing there. That was pure rat behavior.
It's frustration getting to you too. I mean,
I guess
their best players were not their best players tonight, and
apparently haven't been.
Yeah, apparently haven't. They've only scored 3 goals in the last 3 games now.
Not great. You got any final things to say here tonight, James, before we wrap it up?
It's a great bounce back game. I mean, in terms of losing this one versus the Capitals one, the bounce back from this one was felt. It really was. When we lost to the Capitals, they kind of meandered back into the game, had some good goaltending, and then finally turned it on like late in the second period. This one, it was pretty much full all the way through. They were playing hard. They were playing strong the entire game.
Yeah.
And that's something that you need to see. I mean, you're not going to see it every night, but it's something that you're trying to reach for every single night.
Yeah, this is your standard. This is what you look back on and say, that's how we need to play. Like, if you go forward, y'all are playing bad. Remember what we did in that second period against Boston. Let's find that.
It was the whole game, man. I even thought the first period was good, and then the shots kind of got tilted because of the penalties. And they still put up 7 shots in the third while sitting back too, and had chances while they were playing defensive. I mean, it's perfect for what you want to do.
Yeah, and let's give some credit to Pete DeBoer on this bounce back. All the pundits tonight talking about how there was a little bit more of a intense practice yesterday for the Stars. Pete DeBoer kind of getting onto the guys, letting them know that they need to bring back that intensity. The key buzzword for tonight that everyone kept saying, and they truly had it. They responded well, and they answered to what their coach was saying. So kudos to DeBoer and to the players' response to it too.
Yeah, this has been their best game by far.
Agreed. Best game for the Stars by far, 100%. And against probably the best team that we've faced thus far. You could say Oilers, but they're not playing like it right now.
Yeah.
I guess Boston isn't really playing like it either, but it's one of the better teams that they played against. We'll say that. So we'll see you guys again on Saturday night again against the Chicago Blackhawks That game is at 7 p.m. Make sure to catch that one because you're going to be without Stars hockey for about a week. And then after that, you're going to get some day games that you're going to have to find a way to watch it work on Friday and wake up early for on Saturday. That'll be some fun stuff to watch them over in Finland. That'll do it for us tonight. I'm Chris with my brother James. Be sure to check out our sponsors. We got DraftKings. We got Raycon back. Be sure to use that promo code THPN on all those places. We also have Game Time. You can go on Game Time right now, go to settings, promo code, type in THPN. That'll be applied automatically to your next purchase. So you don't have to remember it. Just go ahead, do it right now. It'll happen automatically. Easy peasy. If you're listening to it with your phone, just go do it right now. It helps us. I think that's it for tonight. We'll catch you all again on Saturday. You'll have a good afternoon, morning, evening, whatever Ryan says. And GG, boys.